On Global TV News Prime, federal government distributes 740 trucks of rice across Nigeria as part of efforts to tackle food crisis. United Arab Emirates lifts travel ban on Nigeria. Kano State High Court Bayero 4 others from parading themselves as emirs. In business, federal government partners World Bank on skills acquisition. On the foreign scene, opposition candidates have been neither optimistic on polls outcome in Rwanda election. A very good evening to you and thank you for television. We're coming to you live from Nigeria's capital, Abuja. I am Uyi Agbumofwegbe. Tonight, we'll begin by telling you the federal government has donated 20 trucks of rice to each of the 36 state governors and the federal capital territory for onward distribution to Nigerians. Addressing State House reporters after the Federal Executive Council meeting today, Minister of Information and National Orientation, Mohammed Idris, said the rice is for the most vulnerable citizens, stating that the Tinubu administration committed to making sure that Nigerians have food on their table. The federal government says it has reached the United Arab Emirates, UAE, to allow Nigerian passport holders obtain visas for travel to the Arab nations starting today, July 15, 2024. Minister of Information Mohammed Idris announced this when he briefed State House correspondents following the weekly Federal Executive Council meeting. The announcement comes more than 2 years after the UAE had suspended visa issuance to Nigerians, occasioned by a period of protracted diplomatic row with Africa's most populous nation. President Bola Tinubu has reinstated Professor Neni Barini Zabi as the project coordinator of the hydrocarbon pollution remediation project. The president's special advisor on media and publicity, Ajere Ngelale, announced Zabi's reinstatement in a statement, explaining the reason for the reversal. Tinubu had following a performance review of the hydrocarbon pollution remediation project's coordinator and assessed him to be fit to take charge of the function the regulation. Journalists were barred from conveying or covering the case involving the suspended Dukes of Benin Kingdom and the Oba of Benin, Ewari II, when the hearing resumed today at Court 6 of the Benin High Court in Edo State. The case will also start afresh on October 17 with a new judge due to a posting within the state judiciary. Justice Peter Akinheiro presided over the case initially, but the matter would now be heard by Mary Nekme Asemuta. The suspended dukes, led by the Duke of Ewobanosa of Egbai, Siloko Kingdoms in Benin Kingdom, Professor Gregory Akenzwa, and Chief Edomoyi Ogiegbai, are challenging their suspension from office by the Oba of Benin. Meanwhile, the United States has concluded plans to hand over looted Benin bronzes to the Oba of Benin, Ewari II. Chief Press Secretary to the Oba, Osaigbovo Igobao, said in a statement that the Benin monarch would be receiving the artifacts today, noting that the items were looted from the Oba's palace over a century ago. Away from Edo State now, Akwara State High Court sitting in Ilorin, the state capital, has fixed August 2nd, 2024 for judgment in the bloody April 5, 2018 Offa robbery attack. The development is coming after a protracted trial that had lasted over 5 years. Presiding Judge Haliman Salman adopted the final written addresses which contained arguments of the 2 lead counsel in the matter. The judge, however, said that the August 2nd, 2024 date for judgment is tentative. And still talking judicial matters, the Kano State High Court, presided over by Justice Amina Aliyu, has perpetually restrained Aminu Ado Bayero and 4 other disposed emirs of Bichi, Rano, Gaya, and Karaye from parading themselves as emirs. Delivering the judgment, Justice Aliyu further restrained the 15th emir of Kano and 4 others dethroned by themselves, servants, privies, and any other persons appointed by them from parading themselves as emirs of Kano and Karaye. Kano State's government had filed a suit asking the State High Court to stop the 15th emir, Bayero, and 4 other emirs of the five different emirates from parading themselves as emirs. The state government also gave the deposed emirs 48 hours within which to vacate their respective palaces after being deposed. The Nigerian Meteorological Agency, NIMET, has predicted thundery and rainy weather activities from Monday to Wednesday across the country. The agency's weather outlook released in Abuja forecast morning thunderstorms over parts of Taraba, Adamawa, Zamfara, Kebbi, Katsina, Kano, and Kaduna states. The outlook also predicts thunderstorms over parts of Taraba, Kaduna, Yobe, Katsina, Kano, Borno, Bauchi, and Jigawa states later in the day. The National Media Complaints Commission, also called the Ombudsman, has written to Daily Trust requesting a response to the federal government's formal complaint on the newspaper's reports on the Samoa deal. In a letter dated July 12 and signed by Feyi Smith, the interim secretary of the commission, Daily Trust is expected to file a formal response to the complaint filed by the Ministry of Information and National Orientation, which alleged
Get ready for it. Inside Today brings you issues relating to family, peer pressure, drugs, substance abuse, societal and topical issues making rounds. Join Jumaine Manson on Global Television Monday to Thursday and they repeat every Friday. Time 2 p.m. to 3 p.m. Don't miss out.
Our sincere apologies for a disruption in our broadcast of the news tonight. It was occasioned by technical challenge. We sincerely appreciate your understanding. Now let's take you back to our earlier story where the National Media Complaints Commission, also called the Ombudsman, has written to Daily Trust, one of Nigeria's leading newspapers, requesting a response to the federal government's formal complaints on the newspaper's reports on the Samoa deal. In a letter dated July 12 and signed by Feyi Smith, the interim secretary of the commission, Daily Trust is expected to file a formal response to the complaint filed by the Ministry of Information and National Orientation, which alleged that Daily Trust reports on the Samoa deal was fake news published for public incitement. In response, the group chief executive officer and editor-in-chief of the print arm of the media outfits, Ahmed Shekarau, said the newspaper will respond to the letter within the specified time frame. The Nigeria Customs Service Ogun Area 1 Command has warned the public against the consumption of smuggled frozen poultry products due to its health implications. In an interview in Ota, Ogun State, the command's controller, James Ojo, stated that the World Health Organization, Center for Disease Control and Prevention, Food and Agriculture Organization of the United Nations had described the consumption of smuggled frozen poultry products as having adverse effects on the health of people. Kaduna State's Governor Uba Sani has announced plans by the state government to steadily reduce the current congestion issues with Kaduna Metropolis by establishing additional interstate terminals to ease the movement of people and goods. The decongestion plans were made known during the launch of the newly constructed Mando Interstate Transportation Terminal. Governor Sani highlighted the importance of the terminal in generating revenue, enhancing security, and creating both direct and indirect employment opportunities for the youth. Executive Secretary of the National Board for Technical Education, MBTE, Professor Idris Bugaje, has announced the suspension of the implementation of the schemes of service for polytechnics staff in the country. Professor Bugaje stated that the recently approved scheme of service for the polytechnics has been circulated and proposals amendments to address the gray areas have been sent to the head of service of the Federation, Dr. Folashade Yemi Eson. The suspension of the scheme follows the rejection of the draft document by the Association of Staff Union Polytechnics last week to go on strike in 15 days if the federal government fails to suspend the implementation. You're watching News Prime, coming Nigeria's capital, Abuja, will StarTimes, channel 276, kindly follow us across all social media platforms using our Global TVNG and other handles as you now see on your screen. When News Prime returns, opposition candidates Habineza optimistic on polls outcome in Rwanda election. We'll talk to you about that after this short break. We encourage you to stay with us.
Get ready for it. Inside Today brings you issues relating to family, peer pressure, drugs, substance abuse, societal and topical issues making rounds. Join Jumaine Manson on Global Television Monday to Thursday and a repeat every Friday. Time 2 p.m. to 3 p.m. Don't miss out.
Global TV concept is the emerging, brand that everybody must watch. So I subscribe, and I'm prescribing that we must all be ready to begin to watch Global TV.
So keep watching Global TV, especially for updates on agriculture, food, commodities, and without food, there is no great nation.
So please watch Global TV because it's going to change your life.
Are you a food lover? Do you care about your health and nutrition? Are you interested in exploring the diverse culinary traditions from around the world? Then look no further. Introducing Lunch Global on Global Television, a show that takes you on a delicious journey through the world of food, nutrition, and diet. So, whether you're a seasoned foodie, a health enthusiast, or simply curious about the world of food, Lunch Global has something for everyone. Tune in Mondays to Fridays and let your taste bud take you on a journey of flavor, culture, and discovery on Lunch Global. Bon appetit!
This is Global Television, bringing you a live broadcast of News Prime with Uyi Agumofwegbe. Thank you so very much for your time with us on the news. On the foreign scene, Nepal's Kadaga Oli was sworn in as Prime Minister after his Communist Party forged a coalition government with the center-left Nepali Congress, shifting power in the country's often volatile parliament. Oli, 72, chief of the second largest party in the parliament, the Communist Party of Nepal, Unified Marxist-Leninists, returns as Prime Minister for the fourth time. In the Himalayan Republic of about 30 million people, overshadowed by giant neighbors India and China, Oli previously had trodden a fine balance between the rivals, cordial to both, but reaching out to Beijing to decrease Nepal's dependency on New Delhi. Democratic Green Party of Rwanda presidential candidate Dr. Frank Habineza says he will win the 2024 elections with at least 55% of the votes and secure at least 20 seats in the parliamentary elections. Habineza made the remarks after casting his votes in the company of his spouse and waited on by different supporters. Rwanda's presidential.
This is a very good show of the level of growth and democracy in our country. We were able to campaign the whole country for 3 weeks, and there were no serious incidents or no big problems that you could make issues we found were ignorable. So we said that it's a big step. You found that people of Rwanda have really matured politically. They received us happily. They welcomed us. They gave us gifts on the way. They danced for us. So you would see that the country really has grown, developed democratically. It's so much different from 2017. My expectation.
Rwanda's President Paul Kagame, feared and admired in equal measure, is seeking to extend his 24-year rule in an election analysts say he will win by a landslide. In the meantime, he has dominated every election since becoming president in 2020, 22,000 with over 90% of the votes. In 2017, he won with a staggering 99% in an election criticized by human rights groups. China has posted lower than expected growth in the second quarter, with all eyes on how top officials gathering for a key meeting in Beijing might seek to tackle the country's deepening economic malaise. The world's second largest economy is grappling with a real estate debt crisis, weakening consumption, and an aging population. Trade tensions with the United States and the European Union, which have sought to limit Beijing's access to sensitive technology, as well as putting up tariffs to protect their markets from cheap, subsidized Chinese goods, are also dragging growth down. Britain's Foreign Secretary David Lammy has reaffirmed his call for a ceasefire in the Israel-Hamas war during a second day of talks with Israeli leaders. Isaac Herzog said the more than 100 hostages still in Gaza, in troubled circumstances, in real danger for their lives, were the key issue for Israel. Lammy, on his first Middle East trip since his Labour Party's landslide win in the British election, had already called for a halt to hostilities in a meeting with Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu. Officials say he also met Palestinian Authority Prime Minister Mohammed Mustafa, with whom he pressed the case for reform to the authority. Russia has denied a plea from a Siberian shaman for transfer out of a severe psychiatric hospital over 3 years after being confined for protesting against Vladimir Putin. His lawyer said Alexander Gabishev, 55, was sent to a psychiatric hospital in January of 2021 after repeatedly attempting to walk from his native Yakutia in Russia's forests to Moscow in a bid to exorcise Putin from office. Gambian lawmakers have voted to uphold the 2015 ban on female genital mutilation, rejecting a controversial bill seeking to overturn the law after months of heated debate. Legislators killed the bill by voting against all the proposed amendments to the 2015 text that would have decriminalized the practice. Rights groups and the United Nations had urged members of parliament to reject the bill, saying it threatened years of progress and would have seen the Gambia become the first country to overturn a ban on female genital mutilation. In a business, the Nigeria Customs Service Lily Pond Export Command says that 2,488 export containers with duty paid value of $184.8 million were handled by the command between April and June of 2024. The command also said that its payments into the Nigerian Export Supervision Scheme for the period under review stood at 1.2 billion naira. The Customs Area Controller in charge of the command, Ajubola Odusanya, made this known in a statement. The World Bank, in collaboration with the Federal Ministry of Education, today expressed readiness to spend $10 million for Nigerian youth to acquire the critical skill sets needed for employment. The World Bank education specialist, Dr. Mistura Rufai, made this known at a two-day workshop for grantees of the Innovation Grant Facility in Abuja. The workshop was organized by the Innovation Development and Effectiveness in the Acquisition of Skills Project of the Federal Ministry of Education. The President and Chief Executive Officer of Dangote Industries Limited, Aliko Dangote, has disclosed that the Dangote Petroleum Refinery will be listed on the Nigerian exchange before the end of March 2025. This came as the refinery again delayed the date for the supply of premium motor spirit, popularly known as petrol, till August, another shift from July. Dangote disclosed that the refinery was set to roll out its petrol in August of 2024, having resolved its crude oil supply issues through the help of the Nigerian National Petroleum Company Limited and the federal government. Nigeria's inflation rate increased to 34.19% in June 2024. That's according to data released by the National Bureau of Statistics on Monday, which is today. This represents an increase of 0.24% from the previous headline inflation rate of 33.95% in May. Let's get some relief from entertainment now. American rapper and singer-songwriter Elizabeth Eden Harris, known professionally as Cupcake, has demonstrated her support for the Palestinian cause with a donation to the Palestine Children's Relief Fund. The donation comes amidst the ongoing conflict in the region. In a post via X, formerly Twitter, Cupcake, while sharing a screenshot of our donation of $15,510.60, encouraged others to follow her lead. And now to sports. Lautaro Martinez has scored an extra-time winner as Argentina beats Colombia 1-0 to win a record 6th Copa America title at Hard Rock Stadium on Sunday. Poor game, which had been marred by security and crowd issues, forcing an 82-minute delay, was decided by a quality finish from Martinez. As we end News Prime on Global Television, here is a quick look at some of our major headlines. The federal government has distributed 740 trucks of rice across Nigeria as part of efforts to tackle food crisis. United Arab Emirates has lifted travel ban on Nigeria. In business, the federal government has entered into a partnership with the World Bank on skills acquisition. And finally, on the foreign scene, we told you opposition candidate Habineza has expressed optimism on polls outcome in Rwanda presidential election. And that's it on News Prime, and it came to you live from Nigeria's capital, Abuja. We're on Star Times, channel 276. Kindly follow us across all social media platforms using @Global TVNG and other handles, as you now see on your screen. I'm Uyi Agmofwegbe on behalf of the entire production team here at Global Television in Abuja, Nigeria's capital. Thank you for spending some of your time with us. We'll see you again.